Welcome to the deep dive. We've got quite a bit of material here, all focused on where we are with the 2025 NBA playoffs. Things are really heating up.
That's right. We're getting down to the wire. And this material, well, it lays out pretty clearly who's made it through, who's still in the fight, and, what's coming up next.
Yeah, exactly. So our mission today is basically to break all this down for you, get you the key results, look at the East matchup that's still going, and check out the final schedule.
And the big news right off the bat, the headline really, is that the Western Conference Finals, they're over. We have a winner.
Okay, let's jump right into that. So the sources confirm it. The Oklahoma City Thunder, they've knocked out the Minnesota Timberwolves.
And it wasn't exactly a nail-biter series in the end. Finished 4-1 in favor of OKC.
And that final game, Game 5, that was just last night, right? Wednesday, May 28th.
Yep. And reading these reports, it sounds like it was less of a game and more of, a statement by the Thunder.
A statement is a good word. The sources are calling it a rout. Thunder won Game 5, 124-94. That's a 30-point margin.
Yeah, and it started fast. They apparently jumped out to a huge lead, like 17 points by the end of the first quarter.
17 points after one. Wow.
Right. And the sources say they just never looked back. The score was, 26-9 after the first.
Okay, so Minnesota just couldn't get anything going early.
Seems like it. And it got worse. Halftime score was 65-32. Yeah, 33-point lead.
Goodness. And it stayed pretty lopsided.
Oh, yeah. It was 88-62 going into the fourth. The reports mentioned the Thunder actually sat their starters for a good chunk of that final quarter because the lead was so big.
That tells you all you need to know, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So for OKC, this is obviously a massive deal.
Huge. The material points out it's their first time back in the NBA Finals since, 2012?
12, yeah. And their first time actually winning the Western Conference title in 13 years. It's been a long road for them.
Definitely feels like the culmination of that rebuild they've been working on.
And looking at Game 5 specifically, some big performances. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the MVP.
SGA, yeah. He dropped 34 points according to this. Really led the way.
And he had help. Chet Holmgren, 22 points, 7 boards, 3 blocks.
And Jalen Williams chipped in 19 and 8 rebounds. That young core really showed up.
It really did. And the sources make this interesting point about SGA. He won the league MVP this year. And now he's got a shot at the title, trying to be the first player since Steph Curry back in 2015 to pull off the MVP and championship double in the same season.
That's elite company. And, it wasn't just his regular season. The material notes he was the unanimous MVP for these Western Conference Finals.
Unanimous. That says a lot about how dominant he was against the Timberwolves.
He really does.
So on the flip side, what happened to Minnesota in that Game 5? The sources paint a pretty rough picture.
Yeah, it sounds like they just couldn't get their offense going. Shot just 41.2% from the field.
Ouch. And turnovers.
21 turnovers. That's just killer against a team playing at the level OKC was. You can't give them that many extra possessions.
No way. Who led them in scoring? Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, Ant-Man had 19 points listed here. There's a kind of weird note saying Julius Randle scored 24.
Wait, Randle? For the Timberwolves?
Yeah, I know, right? He plays for the Knicks. Must be a typo or some cross wires in one of the sources.
Okay, yeah, that's got to be an error. So basically, Edwards had 19, but overall, the offense just sputtered out for Minnesota.
That seems to be the story of Game 5 for them. Just a tough night all around.
And looking bigger picture at the Thunder, their whole season's been impressive. The material reminds us they had the best record in the league, 68-14.
68 wins is incredible, and they've kept it rolling in the playoffs now 12-4.
Which probably explains why the betting odds are so skewed. Caesars Sportsbook has them at -600 to win it all.
Yeah, heavy favorites. That reflects just how dominant they've looked, especially closing out the West like that.
Okay, so West is settled, Thunder are waiting. But the East, still up in the air.
Still very much alive over there. We've got the Indiana Pacers versus the New York Knicks.
And the series standings, based on the schedule here, Pacers are currently leading 3-1.
That's right. So Indiana has a chance to close it out tonight, actually.
Game 5 tonight. Okay. Thursday, May 29th. Where's that one being played?
It's back in New York. 8 p.m. Eastern start time at Madison Square Garden. High stakes.
Big time. So looking back, how did we get to 3-1? The schedule shows the Pacers actually took Game 1 in OT in New York.
Yeah, stole Game 1 on the road, and then they grabbed Game 2 in New York as well. So they went up 2-0 heading back home.
Wow, that's a tough start for the Knicks at home. Did they get one back?
They did. The Knicks won Game 3, which was also in New York, according to this. So they cut the lead to 2-1.
Okay, so Game 3 was Knicks. then Game 4 back in Indiana.
Pacers took that one 130-121.
Mm-hmm.
That put them up 3-1, setting up tonight's potential clincher.
And there's another note here about the Knicks. Julius Randle, the guy who definitely plays for them.
Yeah, the actual Knicks player. He's listed as questionable for Game 5 tonight. Knee injury.
Oof. That's potentially a huge blow for the Knicks if they're trying to stave off elimination.
Absolutely. It just adds another layer of difficulty for New York, who've already battled through a lot to get this far.
You know, thinking about the whole playoffs, it's easy to forget how many teams started this journey. 20 teams initially, right?
Yep. Started with the play-in, where we saw teams like the Kings, Mavs, Bulls, Hawks get eliminated right away.
Then the first round took out some big names, too. Grizzlies, Clippers, Lakers, Heat, Bucks. Quite a few contenders gone early.
And the second round was even more brutal. Remember the defending champs, the Nuggets, went out. Warriors, too. And on the east side, the Cavs and Celtics.
Right. And looking at how these final teams got here, it's interesting. The Thunder, they swept the Grizzlies in round 1.
Yeah, 4-0. But then they had that really tough series against Denver. Went the full 7 games.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. They won Game 7 pretty convincingly, 125-93. But getting there was a battle.
Definitely wasn't an easy road the whole way for OKC.
And in the East, Pacers beat the Bucks 4-1, then the Cavs 4-1. Pretty efficient.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Knicks, they had a couple of longer series. Beat the Pistons 4-2 and then took out the Celtics in 6 games. That was a bit of an upset.
So the Thunder closed out the West in 5, but they had that 7-gamer before. The Knicks have had these longer 6-game fights.
Yeah, different paths, for sure. Might play into how things shape up for the finals.
Speaking of which, let's talk finals. The stage is now officially set, at least half of it.
Exactly, it's confirmed. Oklahoma City Thunder versus, well, either the Indiana Pacers or the New York Knicks. TBD.
And we know when it starts. The sources say Game 1 of the NBA Finals is set for next Thursday, June 5th.
Kicks off soon.
Yeah.
And because OKC had that league best record, they get home court advantage.
So Game 1 will be in Oklahoma City.
That's right. And Game 2 as well on June 8th. Then it shifts to the East for Game 3 on June 11th and Game 4 on June 13th.
Standard 2-2-1-1-1 format, the asterisk games if needed. Game 5 back in OKC on the 16th.
Correct. Game 6 would be back East on the 19th. And if it goes the distance, Game 7 is June 22nd, back in Oklahoma City.
Got it. And people can watch it where? ABC.
ABC and Fubo are listed here for the finals coverage.
Okay, so pulling this all together, what we're seeing is this really impressive run from the Thunder. Great regular season, MVP performance from SGA, pretty dominant finish in the West.
Yeah, they look like a serious force right now. Very complete team.
But in the East, it's still this ongoing battle. Pacers have the lead. Knicks are trying to fight back at home tonight, possibly shorthanded.
It's a different kind of drama over there, for sure. More uncertainty.
And it all leads to the finals starting next week, with OKC waiting, rested with home court.
So this deep dive really gives you that snapshot, right? Here's where we are. The powerhouse from the West is locked in. The East is still sorting itself out. And the final showdown is just around the corner. It's all the key info you need.
Absolutely. So to recap the big points, Thunder are through to the finals. The East is at 3-1 Pacers with Game 5 tonight in New York. And that final schedule starts June 5th.
You got it.
You know, one last thing to maybe chew on. It's that contrast we mentioned. OKC just finished a pretty quick 5-game series in the conference finals. While the East winner, whether it's Indy tonight or maybe after a longer series, they'll have come through potentially a tougher, maybe more draining fight recently.
Right. So the question for you, the listener, to think about is, how might that difference impact the finals? Does OKC come in perhaps too rested, or does the Eastern champ carry more momentum from a tougher series, or maybe more banged up?
It's interesting, right? Does that quick series win give OKC an advantage, or could the battle-tested East team be sharper? Something to consider as we wait for that final matchup.
Definitely something to think about. We hope this deep dive into the material has helped you get a clear picture of the 2025 NBA playoff landscape.
Until next time.